to the chip and pin platform, which essentially is a much more secured card than the mark stripe card that can easily be cloned by fraudsters. So the industry has done that move. However, we as First Bank were upping the game and saying that there are a number of our customers that are in the rural area. Maybe that's also because First Bank has the spread that most other banks do not have. So we have the experience of serving both the urban rich as well as the rural poor. Now, the rural masses are not too good with numbers. So when you say they should choose a PIN number, you won't be surprised if someone chooses 1111. And so if that person misplaces his or her card, it is very easy for a fraudster to guess the PIN number. So for such customers, you also have to get their fingerprint with a biometric ATM.
Okay.
And that's the extra level of protection that we've introduced into the marketplace.
Okay. Most banks in the country presently, including the First Bank, have a knack for foreign IT applications. From your own perspective, what would be your rating of local applications in Nigeria, or software development, basically?
Well, I would be very frank and objective, creating like a balance. I think you would say that we do have skills within the Nigerian marketplace to manage IT. We have skills to do software development. However, what tends to happen within the software space itself is that there are various categories of software, from the system software, which are like the operating systems like Windows, Unix, and the iOS that runs on the Apple platform, to business applications, starting from simple human resource management, payroll applications, to very complex systems like ERPs that manage entire manufacturing operation, or core banking softwares that are used to run banks. Now, within the middle space, we're not playing at all in the system software space. So we do not have, for instance, an operating system developed by Nigerians. Yes, you might have a few Nigerians contributing to the development of this operating system, because each of the big players like Microsoft do have a large population or a reasonable population of Nigerians within their employ. We also do have freelance programmers that contribute to open source softwares like Linux development, and some of them are Nigerians. However, when it comes to actually having or owning a branded operating systems product, Nigeria is not playing in that space. Now, when we come to the business application space, we also have a number of Nigerian companies that have played very well in building human resource application, small-scale ERP solutions, and one company comes to mind easily, System Spec, with their human manager application, which has been quite successful by all means. In the space for enterprise application, we also have a number of players that have attempted to play in that space, and not all have been equally successful, but we have some players that have stayed upwards of 20 years in that space. So you will say they have achieved some level of success. And again, a name that comes to mind is Computer Systems Associates. They have a core banking software which has been sold not just within West Africa, but also in East Africa and other emerging markets that actually meet their solution. They've also sold a version to microfinance banks within Nigeria. Now, coming back to the question of whether there are enough, the Nigerian software companies have matured to the point of, developing robust core banking software. I would say it's a yes and no, right? Yes, to the extent that the basic skill to do it is there, and I've given the examples that prove that those skills are there if you focus well enough. However, in terms of mindset, we are not yet there. Software business is a long-term business, so you've got to make investment for the long term. Nigerian investors, to the contrary, are short-term investors. So you don't go into software with the mindset of getting back your investment in 6 months or 12 months. That's what has actually not made the Nigerian softwares to mature to that scale where they can easily compete with internationally developed application. Because if you are investing for the long term, it means that you need to be able to retain certain skill set for the long haul. If you have business architects and software architects that are working within software companies, and the turnover on your staff is maybe every 18 months, the staff are, you have to recruit new staff because the good staff have left. You won't be able to actually build for the long haul. And those are some of the issues that the local software developers or investors are still dealing with. One, you need some level of capitalization to be able to hold on for that long in terms of being within the software development lifecycle and not hitting the marketplace with an underdeveloped product that you want to start earning revenue from. So by and large, I would say if we change our investment mindset and focus on software as a long-term business, we can actually compete with other internationally developed applications in Nigeria.
Okay, earlier on you made mention of First Bank running on Finacle.
Yes.
And then migrating to Oracle.
To Finacle 10.
To Finacle 10 rather, sorry. What was the business decision behind the migration?
Okay. First Bank essentially has 4 key drivers of growth, or 4 pillars of the business strategy going forward. One is a focus on growth. The second is on improving service delivery and attaining service excellence. The third is talent management, being able to retain the best talent within the industry. And the fourth is performance management, both at the individual level and at the group and team level. So if you look at those pillars, central to it is service excellence, because really every business exists for one purpose only, and that purpose is to recruit and retain profitable customers. That's why businesses exist.
Okay.
So if a business is not able to meet the needs of its customers, both now and into the future, that business will not be a sustainable business. So we need to continually improve our service platform. As you know, infrastructure is central to most things.
Yeah.
If you look at even the national, if we use the nation as an analogy, we are where we are because of a failure of infrastructure. So one of the key service delivery infrastructure for a bank is the core banking software, because really a bank's business, we all think of it as managing money, but a bank's business is actually managing information, right? Whether you're talking about ensuring that you properly keep the information for 7 million accounts and ensure that there is no mix-up in the management of that information, or you are ensuring that the information that is required to dispense cash at the ATM is readily available for the ATM to work. That's what banking is about. It's about managing information. So we need to continually improve that platform for managing information, which is the core banking. infrastructure. Now, we have set aggressive targets for ourselves in the area of service excellence, and our existing platform, which is the Finacle 7, cannot continue to serve us to meet those aggressive targets. So we want to be able to more readily introduce new product into the marketplace. That's what Finacle 10 will give us as an edge over Finacle 7. Okay. We want to reduce the time it takes to process the withdrawal transaction. Currently, we spend an average of 4 minutes. The customer will spend no more than 4 minutes in front of a teller to do a withdrawal transaction. We want to halve that to 2 minutes. Yes, we've improved our infrastructure, our back-end infrastructure, so our processors are faster and all of that, but we also need to improve on the software, underlying software that runs the process. We also want to simplify our processes further in the front end, such that the teller spends less time trying to post transactions and spend more time interacting with the customer. That will need some improvement of our core banking infrastructure. So all of these are the business drivers that has led us to say we need to upgrade to Finacle 10, because it's going to give us much more flexible service delivery infrastructure that will enable us to achieve that level of service excellence that we set for ourselves.
Okay, I would like to know your take on this Cash-lite Lagos and cashless deployment across the country. What is your take on that, and how is First Bank readiness to drive this beyond Lagos?
Okay, first I would say that the cashless or cash-lite drive is the right move, and we as First Bank essentially have been moving in that direction even before CBN came up with the policy in order to drive it across the industry, which is why if you go back to my initial summary, some of the highlights that I made were the investment we made in actually enhancing our electronic delivery channels, and which has translated into us First Bank achieving a larger share of the market space for electronic transactions. So we had actually been quietly within our own strategy as First Bank in driving towards a cash-lite situation, because we've been trying to move or migrate our customers to the electronic channel so they deal less with cash. Now, having said that, it's a good policy. It's something that's going to help the economy, because the velocity of transactions will be much faster if you are using electronic means. You can imagine that we have moved from a situation whereby up-country clearing was 21 days. I don't know if you still remember that there was a time in Nigeria that it took 21 working days to clear a check. If that check is not a local check. And local check itself took about a week for you to be able to get the money to where we are today, which is you have a turnaround time on clearing items, which is T+2, and that is being shortened further to
T+2. What do you mean?
Which is the day you submit the check for clearing. You add 2 days, so on the third day you're going to get, you're going to get credit in your account. But that is being shortened further to a next day clearing, which by next month actually we should begin to have a taste of that fully. So that is what has happened within the clearing system, and we've seen that has actually impacted the volumes of transactions that go by way of checks rather than cash exchange. Now, what has happened, which we didn't note, is that was like a first phase of the movement towards less cash, right? Because if it takes 21 days for you to get value for money, you would hardly do any transaction through that channel. Now, what debit cards have done, because debit cards, by their nature, are actually check replacements.